Well, to discuss the attacks a little further, we are now joined from Washington by Michael SHURKIN, a political analyst from the RAND Corporation there. Thanks very much for coming on the programme this evening. Let me ask you, first of all, why do you think it is that the French embassy was among the sites targeted here?
Well, France is seen as the main colonial power behind Burkina Faso. Colonial, obviously that's a charged term, but France is basically closely aligned with the regime. It's French forces who are on the ground, both in Burkina Faso and in Mali, who've been fighting against the jihadists. And it's France that is orchestrating various regional efforts in order to combat jihadism. So if this is indeed a terrorist attack by the jihadists, France is the obvious target for them to go after, along with the Burkinabe government.
Now, as we say, for now, there is no claim of responsibility, but Burkina Faso, of course, shares really what is quite a porous border with Mali. Is it possible that Islamists from over the border are involved in today's attack?
It's absolutely possible, but it's also possible that Burkinabe were involved in the attack. And basically what one sees in Burkina Faso, sort of a combination of local, indigenous, and foreign forces, elements, groups that are kind of combining to make common cause. Which does not mean that the fight in Burkina Faso is the same as the fight in Mali. It's local fights and local disputes that, by and large, are generating the conflict in Burkina Faso. But they're doing so, those who are fighting within Burkina Faso are often doing so in coordination with elements that are based out of Mali. So it's possible that this attack was done by some combination of Burkinabe and also Malian and Nigerian and people from elsewhere in the region. At this point, it's really too soon to tell.
And what of the force that's supposed to be countering the kind of violence that we've seen today? That's the G5's Sahel. We know it's been plagued by some financial problems. Do you think that it's up to the challenge of fighting these kinds of threats in the region?
Well, the G5 Sahel is still in its infancy. It's really just begun. So I think it's not fair to judge the G5 Sahel project by the events of today. Today is, however, a reminder of the fact that the amount of work that has to be done in order to improve the quality and the capabilities of the local security forces is still great. And part of the point of the G5 Sahel force is to try to help those forces by coordinating them and helping them in all sorts of ways. So you can't judge the G5 Sahel force by the results yet because it's really just begun. However, what happened today is another reminder of part of why the G5 Sahel forces, the idea is on the table and why France is promoting it as much as France is.
And one of the aims of the G5 Sahel is certainly to tackle jihadism that is very possibly behind today's attack. That's been rumbling for a long time, but do you get the sense that that kind of violence is intensifying across the Sahel region?
Regrettably, it's certainly intensifying in Mali, particularly in central Mali, and across the border in Burkina Faso. And it's very alarming, particularly what's happening in central Mali and in Burkina Faso, where there's a lot more violence, increasing violence in areas where, at the time, for instance, in 2013, with the French intervention, we didn't see violence there, whereas now suddenly violence is spreading. So in effect, it looks as if the cancer that before had been limited to northern Mali has metastasized throughout the region, into central Mali and across the border into Burkina Faso. So basically, I would expect things to get a lot worse before they get better, which doesn't mean that they might not get better in the end, but right now the situation is looking serious. So we're not through with hearing headlines like this from the Sahel. Unfortunately, there are going to be more attacks in the Sahel and Burkina Faso and in Mali and in Niger and any of the other countries in the region.
Michael SHURKIN from the RAND Corporation in Washington, thank you very much for your analysis this evening on the programme.
Thank you.